but the population is growing, and we are going down more. Thanks to who? The unions.
Absolutely nobody could have predicted what Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi did on the 6th of July 2025. It will remain a day to be marked in history. But one thing about the general is that he is like water, okay? He does not keep still. He has moved past that and is working extra hard to create new enemies. As you know, in July, a lot of people came guns blazing for him. Shadrach Sibia, Paul O'Sullivan, Senzo Mchunu, Figile Mbalula. The list is I could go on and on and on, okay? But basically, he has ruffled more feathers. He has ruffled more feathers, and this time it is the unions. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition. Keeping up with Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi over there in the tiny little corner of a KZN, in a KZN provincial meeting with stakeholders. This is some of the clips of what he said, which has upset the unions. Don't believe me? Let me go ahead and bring you up to speed.
The labor people who said we want salaries for our employees. So the more government increase salaries is the lesser they employ. So the lesser they employ, the more crime they get. So we need to really interrogate and ask this thing. Prima, you said this country is going down in front of our eyes. The reality is we've got too many things that are wrong in our country that contribute. Labor laws are one of those. I can tell you that one. We moved to 25,000 employees. It was paying me to look at the NUMSA's Secretary General yesterday talking about the closures of UDA. So when we have companies that are starting to shut down, you need to ask yourself, and many of them shutting down in the country, the higher the salary we need, the lesser the employment. And that's a reality. We can't avoid it, but it's a fact. We must face it, it is there. And we experience it in the police, and so is everyone. Now, therefore, we have to employ other means to try and balance this. Because if we don't have a person, that means we must employ a camera to help us to see at least. If we don't have a person, we must employ cars so that we can have more vehicles patrolling to cover the areas that people were not normally supposed to cover. And all these things need money. That is unfortunately the reality. So it's the truth that I'm glad we're all here that we'll have to face as we're talking to each other. We are yours, and we need you to guide us. If we are not behaving well, discipline us. If you're not fit for a job, fire us because we are employed by you. We not have a guarantee that we can be in this job forever. You need to chase us away if you're not delivering.
And it reads, this article is by the Sowetan Alive, and they say, labor unions have criticized KwaZulu-Natal's Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, for suggesting that South Africa's rising unemployment rate is the result of unions constantly pushing for higher pay for their members. So I will definitely play the clip for you, but let me just read a little bit further on this clip just to give a little bit of more background. So the unions are upset, okay? The unions shoot down Mkhwanazi's claim on high unemployment. Top Cop had said by demanding higher salaries, unions contribute to joblessness. This is an article in the Sowetan Live by Janet Shabalala, okay? Labor unions have criticized KwaZulu-Natal's Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, for suggesting that South Africa's rising unemployment rate is the result of unions constantly pushing for higher pay for their members. The union said on Wednesday that Mkhwanazi should not scapegoat organized labor for a crisis rooted in government policies and structural flaws inherited from apartheid. What? COSATU's parliamentary coordinator Matthew Parks said that for someone of his stature, Mkhwanazi had also benefited from union protection and labor laws over the years, adding that his job was not to speak of the law, but to implement it. Ooh, strike one. Okay. During KZN Premier Tamintuli's stakeholder engagement on crime prevention on Tuesday, Kwanazi criticized the unions for contributing to high unemployment, saying the police, for instance, were unable to hire more officers due to unions demanding salary increase for their members. I think he explained it well. It's a math formula. If you need to pay people adequately, right, for the cost of living, but then this is the budget that you're allocated to pay SAPS members, and then unions are saying no, 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 increase the pay, cost of living, then the police departments now have to lower the number of people they can hire because they can't pay everybody. They can't pay everybody, and they don't want to be like over there the IDT CEO, suspended CEO, and the Colin Mashawana Foundation that hired the EPWP workers, and they were supposed to be paid less than 2,000 rands a month, and they still didn't pay them that money. They still didn't pay them that money that they needed to feed their families. But so Kwanazi is saying it's a crisis. The unions are saying raise the salaries, but then that impacts how many police can be hired, and therefore that causes a problem in terms of how many police are on the ground, how many boots on the ground, therefore crime increases. The article continues to say, so it's a math formula. So not only is Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi part of the tactical force, and also, the provincial police commissioner in KZN. He's also a mathematician, okay? But here goes. The article continues to say, we need to interrogate this thing. Premier, you said this country is going down in front of our eyes. The reality is that we have too many things that are wrong in our country that contribute, and labor laws are one of those. See, he's not saying exclusively it's the labor laws. He's saying there are many things that contribute, but labor laws is definitely one of them. Let me know in the comment section if you agree. Make sure you stay till the end. I'm going to also insert the clip for you, okay? So you hear it from the horse's mouth. Kwanazi said, the population of KZN is growing, but the number of police officers is going down, thanks to the unions, because of the labor people who said we want salaries for our members. So the more government increases salaries, the less people they employ, and the more unemployment there is. It's A plus B equals C. I don't think he was wrong with his formula. But let's hear what the labor laws have to say. Mr. Parks rejects this, saying South Africa's crisis stemmed from structural flaws inherited from apartheid. We're the most unequal society in the world today because of those flaws. He, Kwanazi, says we are in a crisis today because workers get paid too much. We don't know what planet he lives on. Wow. We're the most unequal. I've already said that. We don't know what planet he lives on. We're in an economic crisis because ESCOM struggled through state capture and corruption to provide affordable and accessible electricity. We're in a crisis because Transnet, too, was broken by state capture and corruption, or because municipalities are being run by incompetent management, he said. Police and Prison Civil Rights Union spokesperson Richard Mamabolo said the role of the unions was not to create employment, but to defend the rights and dignity of workers, ensure fair remuneration, and protect the gains won through decades of struggle. To suggest that collective bargaining and calls for decent wages are the cause of joblessness is to misdiagnose the real problems confronting our society, he said. Mamabolo said Mamabolo said it was unfair and deeply misleading to use unions as scapegoats. At a time when police officers and other public servants are working under extreme pressure, facing under resourced environments, and putting their lives on the line daily, it is regrettable that senior officials choose to target unions instead of addressing the genuine needs of workers. South African Police Union spokesperson Lisiba Tobagale said the union was ready to take Mkhwanazi through how South Africa's labor laws were achieved. We appreciate and acknowledge efforts made by Lieutenant General Kwanazi on fighting crime. We encourage him to stay in his lane of crime fighting and leave labor laws alone. Oof, he's really stepped on a lot of toes. He said the Secretary General of the South African Federation of Trade Unions, Zwelinzima Vavi, said Mkhwanazi's perspective risked distorting public understanding of a far more serious issue that he said includes decades of neoliberal austerity and budget cuts that have hollowed out the police service, which he said was a crisis that deepened insecurity for all South Africans. Budget cuts, not wage demands, with the real crisis, he said. Gu ni ni. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I have gone ahead and I'm going to play the clip for you here so you can hear Kwanazi. This time, he didn't dress in combat uniform, so he's not fighting the unions, which means it's a different tone. He's not flanked by 12 people with firearms. No, there were no firearms in sight. It is literally Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in a suit and a white shirt giving his speech to the labor unions. And for me, just thinking of the body language or the dress code that he used, he's simply saying it's corporate. I'm coming to you in corporate form. I'm coming to you in business gear. I want to talk about labor laws, and therefore that is his dress code. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below.